Welcome to another segment of Flashback Friday, where I review comic book movies from the past and talk about their significance today. I will be reviewing Superman 2, the original, not the Richard Donner cut, and I will be talking spoilers, so you have been warned. Also, if you want to check out my video from last week on the first Superman, here is the link. Superman 2 is the sequel to the successful first installment in the Superman series. The first Superman was a fun and emotional comic book movie, something that had not been attempted before and really laid the groundwork for comic book movies to come. Superman 2, however, takes a step back. Richard Donner, the original director of Superman, was set to direct the sequel, however, after coming in conflict with the producers, he was fired from Superman 2. It was so far into production that he had even filmed many scenes for the new movie. The firing of Donner created such a rift on set that Gene Hackman refused to work with the new director, and they needed to bring in doubles and voiceovers to help fit him into the new film. This will be a major problem with the film, but we'll get to that later. Superman 2 starts with scenes from the previous installment where General Zod, Ursa, and Non are captured by the Council on Krypton and are sent into the Phantom Zone. Meanwhile on Earth, terrorists have held tourists hostage at the Eiffel Tower and threatened to set off a nuclear bomb for some reason. Of course, Lois Lane is on the case and makes her way up to the Eiffel Tower to investigate for herself for some reason. Yes, she calms herself down by spelling out Nobel Prize. Superman saves the day and takes the nuclear bomb and throws it into space, which explodes, setting free the three Kryptonians from the Phantom Zone. They float towards the moon and kill astronauts that are there. They hear the astronauts call for Houston, and Zod tells his fellow Kryptonians that they should take over planet Houston. Meanwhile on planet Houston, Lois Lane and Clark are sent on assignment together in the Niagara Falls. Lois becomes suspicious of Clark being Superman, so she throws herself into a river, hoping Clark, as Superman, will save her. Clark does save her, but without flying in to save her, as to not reveal himself. Afterwards, however, Clark loses his glasses, and Lois realizes that Clark is Superman. He flies her to his Fortress of Solitude, where he talks of his Kryptonian background and eventually gives up his powers to be with Lois. Meanwhile, Luthor breaks out of prison, and Zod starts destroying a town in the United States. Zod eventually makes his way to DC, where he makes the president kneel before him. Luthor, after finding Superman's Fortress of Solitude, attempts to get on Zod's side so that he would not get killed or enslaved. He tells of Superman, with Zod realizing that he is the son of Jor-El. Clark, after realizing how dumb it was to give up his powers, returns to the Fortress of Solitude and gains his powers back, ready to take on Zod. Superman fights the three Kryptonians, but as pointed out by the Daily Planet employee, they are just as strong as Superman. Superman, while trying to defeat Zod, is busy saving humans from falling debris, which Zod points out as a weakness of Superman, that he shows compassion for humans who are less powerful than him. Superman retreats, leaving Zod to capture Lois and take her to Superman's Fortress of Solitude. At the Fortress of Solitude, with Superman, Luthor, Lois, and the three Kryptonians, Superman attempts to put them into his chamber to take away their powers. Luthor tells Zod of Superman's plan, and Zod forces Superman into the chamber and turns the crystal on, taking away Superman's powers. Instead, Superman somehow reversed the machine, taking away Zod's powers. Superman then defeats Zod and saves the day. However, it is not a happy ending, as Lois tells Clark that she could not possibly be with him because of the peril she was just in, and Clark erases Lois's memory. This is one of the few emotional moments in the movie which doesn't have a lot to talk of. Instead of Donner directing the sequel, we got Richard Lester, who even admits that he hadn't heard of Superman before he took on the film. It seems ridiculous that the producers would go with someone who hadn't even heard of Superman to direct a Superman film. This certainly shows that the tone of the film has more of an action feel to it, with many explosions and not enough character development, instead of the science fiction film that had been set up by Donner. We get no motivation of Zod, we just see him destroy everything in sight. Why does Superman feel the need to give up his powers to be with Lois? We never see the motivations behind the characters, instead we get explosions and fight sequences. Overall, there are some hints of a good movie in Superman 2, but there are too many questions left unanswered that leaves the film very unsatisfying. Luthor for sure feels out of place, and that is due to Hackman leaving the project. Superman 2 definitely feels like an uncompleted film. Alright, Superman fans, what did you think of my review? Tell me in the comments below. Be sure to check back every Friday for my reviews of past comic book movies. Any guesses on what film will be next? I'll give you a hint, there's Richard Pryor in there. Thanks, keep comicsing.